So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to become the next Luke Belmar using this content strategy. So in this video, I'll be covering the 3 things that Luke mastered to blow up his personal brand, and while doing so, blowing up his Capital Club brand, which is his info product or community, and then the results that it's gotten, and then I'm going to show you exactly how he's done so and how you can do the same. So he's mastered 3 things: content distribution, clip consciousness, and virality. And I'm going to be going through all of that later in this video. And then the results that he's got from this is 9 billion views in a year, 15,000 plus members in his Capital Club community. That's just what I got from Safari or from Google. I'm pretty sure there's more than that. And if each of those people are paying $365 a year, it might be more than that now, but that's what I last checked. That's how much it was. That's $5.5 million a year in yearly revenue that he's making from Capital Club and from that membership. And it's all because of the short form distribution strategy and this content strategy. So that's what I'm going to be going over in this video. So I've worked in some of these big content teams, firstly as an editor, as a short form editor, where I've learned a lot, or where I learned a lot, and I got really good results for my clients. And then now I run a content distribution agency where we help establish personal brands further grow their personal brand and info products through content distribution. So let's just get right into it. So it starts off with his content distribution and clip consciousness. So as you can see, he's been on a lot of podcasts, and he understands that I wrote it down here. The first thing you need to master mass distribution is a large media library. So he understands if he wants to post a lot of content and he wants to distribute a lot of content. I'm pretty sure he said in one of the most recent podcasts that he posts a video every 4 minutes, which is absolutely crazy. It might be every 4 seconds, but I'm pretty sure it's every 4 minutes. And he understands that if he wants this level of quantity and this level of distribution on short form, he has to have enough content for these editors to clip up and for these editors to go ahead and get and extract clips from. So that's why you always see him go on to podcasts. The Strike a Big podcast, Mike Thurston, these are really big podcasts that he's been on. And as he gets more famous and as he keeps growing, he keeps going on more podcasts. Like to get on Mike Thurston's podcast, you have to be quite big and you have to have a certain audience size. And so he definitely couldn't just start off with going on to Mike Thurston's podcast. But as he got more famous and as this strategy worked, he could go on to this podcast, and as he just gets bigger, he just keeps doing more because he understands that he needs this large media library in order to master this mass distribution game of short form. So there's a few different ways you can do this. The way he does it is podcast. So this is the way that I recommend creators do it, or guys that want to grow their brand through short form, just because the clips that you can get from podcasts are a lot more natural, and it's much easier to clip because it's like a 2 hours long like podcast, and editors can go ahead and clip up those really nicely. Or YouTube videos, these aren't great because a lot of times there's editing overwards and the videos are kind of scripted towards YouTube, and it's just really hard to get really good clips from this. Blogs, not great. Q&A is really good because you can compile your own list of questions and you get someone to ask you those questions, and then that acts as a hook, and then your answer is the rest of the clip. So those are the ways you can grow your media library. Now, clip consciousness. When you listen to these podcasts, Luke speaks in a way like intentionally because he knows it's going to get clipped up. So he'll be very emotional, or he'll specifically say a sentence as a hook that can be used as a hook. So he becomes really clip conscious and speaks in a way knowing that it's going to get clipped up, and that's how he gets these viral videos. Is he speaks in a way for short form, intentionally for short form, if that makes sense. Like he doesn't just randomly speak. He's very intentional with how he speaks on these podcasts. Now that just comes with time, and that just comes with doing this a lot and getting feedback from his editors and his team. But yeah. So step 1, if you want to master this mass distribution game, is you have to have a large media library, at least 20 plus hours of content, and you have to be growing that on a consistent monthly basis. Because if you're just doing like 2 podcasts, if you're just doing like 1 podcast a month, your editors are going to run out of content to clip up. This has happened with some of my clients where they just don't uphold on their side, and they just slack off on their side with growing their media library and with growing their content. They maybe do like a podcast a month and it just doesn't work. The editors have to start clipping out bad quality clips or reusing clips, which just isn't great. So you want to have a consistent influx of content every single month. I'd recommend you doing at least 2 podcasts a month, 2 to 4. So that's like 2 two a month or once a week. Yeah. So wait, don't want to get into that yet. So then this is where the strategy really becomes important. This is the secondary account strategy. So there's a lot of different names for this: the sub account strategy, the Tate clipping account strategy, but I just call it the secondary account strategy. So these are secondary accounts under Luke's name that post content about him and just pump content of him and these short form reels about him. So these aren't run by Luke; these are run by his team. So I think he has like a team of like one of his editors told me it was like 200 short form editors, but let's just be conservative and say he has 50 active editors actually editing and running these accounts. So how it works is these editors will come into these podcasts and they'll find the best moments within these podcasts and they'll clip those up, and then they'll edit those clips, as you can see here, like really basic editing, just adding captions, music, some color grading, and like some B-roll or something. And then it's very basic editing, not like motion graphics or animations or anything fancy like that. So they'll go in and they'll edit those, and then they run these accounts for Luke. So Luke pays them to run these accounts. So Capital Club HQ, that's his info product or his memberships. That's what it's called, is Capital Club. So a lot of these accounts are called Capital Club. This one's called the Luke Belmar. So as you can see, 477,000 followers, 130,000 followers, and then just 2.7 thousand subscribers there. So that's over 600,000 followers across this batch of secondary accounts. This is not even his main Instagram and main TikTok and main YouTube. This is just his secondary accounts, and it is a total following of 600,000 followers that this editor has generated for him. And this editor has probably generated him hundreds of millions of views throughout his time working with Luke. So this whole process is managed by one editor. So the editor selects the clips from the podcast, the editor edits the videos, the editor does the posting, and he manages the accounts. Now this is what we call an account batch. So account batch is made up of a TikTok account, Instagram account, YouTube account, and maybe like a Snapchat or Facebook. Those two aren't that important. The main ones are Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So the editor will create an account on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube and post the content that they edit to these three accounts. So that way, if they edit one video, they can post it to 3 different platforms. So that's technically 3 posts. Now, the reason they do this is a lot of the times a post will flop on Instagram, but then will go insanely viral on TikTok, or it will flop on YouTube and go insanely viral on Instagram and TikTok. So you're kind of just spreading your bets, and you're just maximizing like the potential of each clip, because editing is the harder part and the more time-consuming part, and then posting's the easy part. So you can just as well post to all these accounts and just maximize reach. Because this has also happened sometimes. A video will get like 1 million views on TikTok, and then you post that same video onto Instagram and it also gets 1 million views. So that's already 2 million views. That's the additional 1 million views just from posting it on Instagram. Now you can post the same videos across these platforms. They don't like, they're not going to limit your performance. But if you post the same video, let's say you have a TikTok account and you have another TikTok account, a separate TikTok account, and you post this video to that one and then that one, the second time you post it, it won't perform well, because the TikTok algorithm will pick it up and be like, no, this has already been posted, and they won't push it. So as I said, this whole process is managed by one editor, and the reason they do this, and the reason I recommend you do this, and this is how we do it with all our clients, is that it's simple. So it's just simple. So you literally just hire an editor, and that editor will do the clipping, will do the editing, and will do the posting. Instead, that there's a different method that some people use where they have an editor who edits all the content, and then they have an account manager who actually runs the account. Now, I don't like that. I don't like doing it like that, because I like when the editors have responsibility for how well their content does. This is where I've seen the most results, and even myself as an editor, this is how I got the most results, is when I run the accounts as well. And for our clients, when our editors run their accounts as well, that's where we see the most results, because and we don't even do the account management thing anymore, not the account management thing, but where you have a separate account manager, so an editor and then an account manager who runs the account. We always hire editors who can also run the accounts, because they take more responsibility for how well their content does and how well their edits perform. So that's just a way better way of doing it. And then it's scalable. So to scale this, you basically just keep hiring more editors, and each editor runs their own account. So it's much more simple. You don't have to do these additional hires of of like an account manager, etc. And then it's also cost effective. As I said, you hire an editor, they run the account. You don't have to hire an editor and an account manager. It just makes it a lot more simple, scalable, and it's a lot more cost effective. So with the long form, the trust and the relationship's not really built on short form. It's really hard to build a relationship and trust on short form with your audience because it's such short clips. It's like 30 to 60-second clips, if even that. So it's really hard to build a relationship. But a lot of the people that see him on short form and this short form following will then go and watch his long form videos, his podcasts, and his YouTube videos, and that's where the actual relationship is built. So, or the trust is built. So the awareness and the initial following is built here in short form. That's when people are like, oh, I've seen this guy before. If they see him on YouTube, they're like, oh, I've seen this guy on short form. I like what he says. Like, he provides me with pretty good value, pretty entertaining. I want to watch more of his stuff. Then they go watch one of his podcasts and they watch another podcast. And soon there's a lot of trust built and there's like kind of a relationship built because it kind of feels like you've spent time with that person. If you've watched like hours of someone's content, like hundreds of hours of someone's content, you feel like you trust them, you feel like you know them, and that makes it a lot easier to go and sell them your product or your info product later on, because it's really hard to sell a course, especially a high ticket program like $1,000 plus or $500 plus through short form, because there's just not enough trust built there. But if you add these long form videos and podcasts and YouTube videos into the mix, and that's further down the funnel, so then that just creates more trust. So how it works is short form's the top of funnel. That's where the awareness is built and some sort of like the initial following is built, and then further down the funnel is the podcast and YouTube videos. So less people who watch his short form will actually go and watch his podcast, which is basically how funnel works. You're kind of just removing people. So the people that actually watch the podcast and the long form videos are the serious guys and the people who the trust is built with. So that just makes it a lot easier to sell them on their info product. So there's two editor payout structures. I've used both of these. These both work well, but I just recommend the third one the most. So firstly is a retainer. So that's just like $1,500 a month for 2 videos a day, or $1,500 a month for 3 videos a day. Now this includes literally everything from clip selection, editing, posting, and account management. So that's just for one editor, so $1,500 per month for 2 videos a day. And then there's like a CPM model. So a lot of people haven't heard of this model, but this is quite an interesting model. This is the model that Luke Belmar used, or what he uses. So it's X amount of dollars per 1,000 views. So you're basically paying for views. It's like you're running ads, is you're paying for reach. So an example is if you pay your editor 0.5 or $0.4 per 1,000 views. So that means if they get 1 million views, they get $400. So if they get 5 million views, they get paid $2,000. So you're incentivizing them to get results. So you're basically just aligning your incentives with the editor's incentives. So by incentivizing, you want views, you want reach, you want traction. So if you incentivize the editor to do so, he'll probably do that, or she will probably do that, or just be more incentivized to do so. But on the other side, if you pay someone a retainer, they're not as incentivized to get your results. Although some people are, and they're not incentivized, but they're not as incentivized if it's the CPM model. But this is the model that I like the most, is the hybrid. So it's a retainer plus performance. So I didn't mention this here. So there's the different model as well is commission on sales. So that's what Luke Belmar does is he has a CPM, so $0.4 per 1,000 views. That's not his CPM. His is a bit lower than that, but it's because he's built this brand. But I'm going to get into that just now, because that just adds like another factor to it. So his is a bit lower than that, and then he also has commission on sales. So if someone buys if you're the editor and someone buys Capital Club through your link, then you get a commission on those sales. I think it's like 30% commission. But the hybrid model, which is what I prefer, is a retainer. So you pay them a bit of a lower retainer, because then on top of that you pay them performance. So if they get X amount of views, you give them a bonus. A bonus is a really good way of doing this. So if they get 1 million view video, you pay them like $100 or $200. Or you could, instead of having bonuses, you could do it a commission on sales. So you do a retainer plus a commission on sales. Now, the reason why a CPM model is hard to do is because you can really only offer a CPM model if you already have a brand, and the editors can see that you've gone viral before. Because for Luke, he can offer CPM because he has proven content, and because his editors have gone viral before. And if you work for Luke, you'll probably go viral yourself, and it's much easier to go viral using his content. But if you're someone new to the space, the CPM model is not great, because the editors they straight up just won't want to work on this model, because you have no proof of concept, you have no proof of your videos actually being able to go viral, and your content just probably isn't great to start with. So the CPM model in the beginning isn't great, so I do the hybrid model, which is retainer plus performance, because you want to always align your incentives with the people you're working with. And I just wanted to add, the people that work with Belmar, some of them work in my team, and some of them I've set into other teams, and they're absolutely insane at what they do. They're really, really, really good at what they do. Just calling them editors is kind of rude in a way. They're more like social media. I call them social media wizards, because they really know exactly what goes viral. They know exactly how to make a viral reel, and they'll even recommend things to their clients of what they could be posting, or what angles they could be talking about to go viral. So they're really good, and they even teach me a lot about social media and the algorithms and how to go viral. And I think that's the best people to work with, is the people that actually teach you the things. Like, you've hired the right person is when they're teaching you things, and they constantly just like you're learning from them. So yeah, that's how Luke Belmar has gone so famous, and how you can do the same. So basically how you can do the same is you have to build your media library. So what Luke does, he goes on to podcasts. This is the best way that I've seen to do it. Even though you don't actually go into official podcasts, you just set up a little podcast, and then you have a team of short form editors. So you hire, in the beginning, I just hire 1 to 2 to 3 editors, probably 3 maximum to start with, just to see what content performs well, and then you just double down on the content that performs well. So Luke probably notices that him talking about his story when he was young, coming to Argentina, maybe that content does really well. So the next podcast he goes on, he's probably going to double down on that, and he's going to start double downing on those topics, and those topics. So then you want to hire a team of 1 to 3 editors. If you need help with hiring, let me know, because I've got some really good editors that I could set into your team, and then those editors will run the accounts. Just the biggest part with this is hiring the right people, because I've hired like probably 20 to 30 editors in my whole content, in this, like, my whole journey, and I'd say at least 10 to 15 of those, no, let's just say 10 of those were really bad. And the reason they were bad, just numerous reasons. They weren't good at speaking English, they didn't really know how to run these accounts, they weren't good at clip selection, or they just weren't good at editing in the beginning. Those are my mistakes, and you just kind of learn from those mistakes. But when you hire the right people, you pay that premium for them. But I'd recommend you pay that premium just because of the results that they'll get you. Like the guy that runs these accounts, I've set them into one of my clients' teams, and he's absolutely killer, and he's really, really good. And as you can see, he gets insane results here. So yeah, that's how he's done so, and that's how you can do the same. Thank you.